How are you? How's the wife and the kids? Let's get right down to the purpose of our business. There are still articles written, I shake my head, says don't waste time when you get with your customers, get right down to the purpose of your business. Well, if you try that, that's like meeting a new girl at a party and saying, you're a pretty good looking girl. Jumping all over her. Now, there may be a time for that, but it's too soon. That's an old model of selling. You just get straight to the purpose of the business and forget the niceties. Next 20% is qualify. Find out how much money they got before you waste any time with them. The third part of the old model was presenting. And presenting was when we used every trick possible, including voice modulation. This is what you're really looking for. They would teach you this stuff. You wonder where these people are today, or if they've let them out of their straitjackets. The last 40% of the new model of selling is closing. And we were told buyers are liars, so close them early and often. And there are a lot of people who still believe this. By the way, I sometimes say if you want to take your kids down, stroll down memory lane, take them to a used car lot on a side street in the poor parts of town, and watch what happens. You just put your foot on the lot, and the Neanderthals crawl out of the shack there with dragging their knuckles on the ground and smoking. Okay, what do you want? What do you want? You want to buy it? You want to buy it? Maybe not. There are still people who sell this, but mostly they live in third world countries and don't do that well even here. In the 60s and in the 70s, the model shifted, almost like a complete flip to the new model of selling, which is what you use and which you will use for the rest of your career. The new model of selling also has 4 parts. The first 40% of the new model of selling is building trust. What we know today is that trust is the glue that holds relationships together. Trust is the lubricant that allows relationships to function. Trust, we live in America and Canada, in the West, we live in high trust societies where trust is so highly esteemed that the most respected people in our societies are men and women of integrity, and the least esteemed are those who do not have integrity. So trust is what holds a relationship together. Without trust between ourselves and our employers, ourselves and our customers, ourselves and our suppliers, our bankers, our families, our friends, trust is the most important thing of all. I've always told my children when they were coming up, be a person of honor. Boys, be a man of honor, be a woman of honor. Always tell the truth. Always keep your word. And my children have taken it to heart. My mother used to drill that to me when I was young. I strolled off the reservation a couple of times, came back. But my kids have grown up, so they always tell the truth. I've encouraged them to tell the truth. I've taught them to tell the truth. When we were young, and our kids would start to lie to us. Did you know that kids lie? What's the major thing? You think there must be something wrong with you as a parent, but your kids are lying to you. They're telling you bold-faced lies. And then we read a little line. Barbara and I read this line that said, if your children lie to you, who has made them afraid to tell the truth? We sat and looked at each other, and we realized that if our kids would tell us the truth, they'd blow up and get angry. So we sat our kids down, and we said, look, we're going to change the way we do things from now on. If you tell us the truth, we promise we'll never get mad. Always tell the truth. If you tell a lie, we'll get mad. But if you tell the truth, no matter what happens, you'll never get mad. We promise. So our kids said, okay, we'll try us out with a little truth. See if you can. Here's a little truth. Here's another truth. And we just stuck in there and never got angry with our children for telling the truth. We always said thank you for telling the truth. Until finally the dam broke, and our kids tell us everything. They never hold anything back. And they brag to their kids. I can tell my parents anything. I can always tell my parents the truth. They tell one of my friends, you have to lie to your parents. Parents can't take the truth. They can't handle the truth. No, we never have to lie to our parents. And it makes them so happy. It makes kids so happy to know that they don't have to lie to their parents. So trust, I'm getting off the track, but I'm really, trust is really important. The next 30% of the relationship model is identifying needs accurately. Is asking questions carefully and listening to the answers. And the more you ask questions carefully about the person and what they're doing and what they need, the more they talk. And the more they talk, the more you get a chance to listen. The more you listen, the more they trust you. And eventually, if you ask enough questions and listen carefully, they will open up. So one of the things that I want to teach you to do is just a very simple thing. I want you to imagine that your eyes are sun lamps and your face of your customer is someone you want to give a tan to. So when you look at your customer, imagine that your eyes are sun lamps and you want to give your customer space and all over town. And just watch and listen intently, lean forward, and just listen to them when they talk. Ask them questions, identify their needs. Now the fourth part, 20% of the sale in the new model, is presenting. And presenting is really a form of matching where you show the customer that your product or service is exactly what he or she needs to satisfy his or her needs. It's like matching. You show like a hand going into a glove. You say, well, based on what you said, this will do this, and this will do that as well. And the rule is that objections are what you get when you stop talking about things the customer is interested in. Many people talk about the whole product or service. No, you only talk about the things the customer said that he or she really wants and needs and cares about in the sales presentation. That's why it's so important to listen. And the last 10% of the new model of selling is confirming. Does this make sense to you? Do you like this so far? Is this what you're looking for? How does this compare with what you're doing now? Confirming or closing is a very easy part of the process if you ask questions and your presentation ties neatly into exactly what they want and need. Because here's the rule in selling. If you show people that your product or service will do what they say they wanted or needed, people don't argue with their own data. It's one of the great communication skills. People don't argue with what they have already said. They'll argue with you, they'll debate you, if you say it's good or right for them, but they will not debate themselves. They will not argue against themselves. And so if you can show them that your product or service does what they say they want, they just agree. They just nod like a little dog in the back of the pickup truck. They just nod and agree. So rule number seven then we say is that the key to relationship building is asking questions. There's no faster way to build a relationship with another person than to ask questions and listen intently to the answers. There's basically a ratio of 2 to 1, is you should be asking at least 2 questions for every 1 statement that you make. And in the beginning, you should ask question after question after question, and then listen, pause, wait for them to answer. Which brings us to number 8.